So today, this is a real special treat. I'm with Dell Lewis, serial entrepreneur. He's also been my business coach for the last 3 years, and it's been such a gift to my life, to my business, to work with Dell. And I'm so happy he's agreed to come on Receptive Radio and share his wisdom, his Dellisms with us today. Thank you, Dell.
Oh, thank you. I'm happy to be here. This is truly an honor. So thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you. So Dell, I was looking at your website before we got started, and you say this one little tagline that just really is so true. Can you tell us what it is?
Sure. So before I do, though, let me just give a little background context for the tagline.
Okay.
Because as you mentioned, I'm a serial entrepreneur, and I own and I've invested in and partnered with several different entrepreneurs in several different businesses across a number of different industries. And I've been doing that pretty much for all of my professional life. And this tagline came into being because I realized it was something that I was doing. And once I caught myself, I just looked around and realized that just about every other entrepreneur was doing this as well. And so my tagline is that way too many entrepreneurs are feasting on information, yet starving for results.
Yeah. And I have found myself there too. Getting into too many programs, too many teachers, too many coaches, getting overwhelmed, doing a lot of studying all the time and not implementing any of it, not taking the actions, even though you might have been there saying, Jennifer, you got to do this. And I say, yeah. Then I go to do it. And then like, no, I don't understand it yet. I got to go back and learn some more.
Yep.
So why do we do that? What is going on there? Why do we get afraid to like really take action?
Yeah. First of all, let me say, Jennifer, you personally, my experience is you're way better than most in taking the action, right? I've suggested things that you do and you go off and you do them. And I think you've gotten the results as a result of doing those things.
Yes.
But you are way better than most. But I think there's a couple of things that come into play here. One is what I'll just generically call perfectionism, right? And myself, as a recovering perfectionist, I can tell you that we oftentimes don't want to do anything unless we feel we can do it 100% right, 100% correct.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of always that, getting ready to get ready. Mm-hmm. And that really stops us. And so it's this idea of perfectionism. And as you know, because of your work, it really all comes down to so many things come down to a basic fear, right? It's a fear of failure, a fear of not being enough, or a fear of not, making it work. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons. So
fear of those, even like rejection, getting rejected.
Yes, exactly.
I think that's a big one.
Yeah. So a lot of my work with entrepreneurs is really mindset work, right? We've got to change that mindset. We've got to get you empowered as to who you are and what you're bringing to the table, and have that as your primary motivation for doing things and going forward, and try to get out of that fear.
Yeah. And what happens when we start starving for the results? Like, like we just keep hitting our head against the wall or keep coming back and getting the same advice. I've been on lots of calls with you, and sometimes the same question keeps getting answered and keeps getting asked and keeps getting asked. And maybe that's because we take on too much. Like we overwhelm ourselves with too much information, right?
That's part of it. Then the other part of it is if you continue along the food analogy, right? I'll just speak for myself, but I'm imagining you might be able to resonate with this, and the listeners probably resonate with this as well. But when I am super, super hungry, quote unquote, starving, right?
Yeah.
I reach for the first thing that's there.
All right.
Right. And unfortunately, sometimes that might be a candy bar. Other times it might be a hamburger through the drive-thru that's right there on the corner, or something like that. And it's not actually what I should be eating, right? So that happens with entrepreneurs as well. When you are starving for the results, you then start to look for the quote unquote result food, and it's not always the things that you should be doing or taking.
Yeah, like the fast food it's the fast results. So sometimes results don't come fast. And I found myself talking about this a lot lately or actually I was reading an audiobook, but I was driving at the time. So, um, the slight edge is like the mastering the mundane. We don't keep doing the things that give results long enough.
Yes. Yes. Yep.
We
Yep.
give up so easy. We're like, oh, it didn't work in one time I tried it.
Yes. And it's also what I like to call, from my sports and football analogy, business is really just blocking and tackling, right?
Okay.
And we oftentimes want it to be more glamorous than that. And so we reach for those things that seem to be more glamorous, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, business 101 is, this as well as I do, Jennifer, because we talked about it for the last 3 years. Find the lead, close the lead, right?
Yeah.
That's it. That's the blocking and tackling. But yet we say, oh, no, it'd be much more fun if I could create this fancy website, or if I could do something on AI, if I could do something over here. And so we reach for all these things, right? And it's the same way with food, right? The broccoli and the carrots and the peas and the lean meats are probably the best way to go, right?
Yep.
Versus, the souffle with 1,000 spicy sauces, right? That's like got all the fat and stuff in it, right? But that's what we get gravitated toward. We're human, so we have to understand that, and that's why I tell people, anybody that I coach with, don't beat yourself up about it, right? You're human in that regard. Just recognize it. One of my other Dellisms is, recognition is half the battle. Once you recognize it, you're halfway there to solving whatever problem you actually have.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have a story about when you were feasting on too much information and starving for results, about yourself, or a story of a client or something?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Where would I start in that regard? That's a great question. Let's see. Do I have a story in that regard? Well, yeah, I do have a story. There's a in my various business models, there's one business model that I have always known is one of the best business models, I think, bar none in the world, for entrepreneurs. Any entrepreneur that wants to get into business, I think this one business model is one of the best business models in the world. Unfortunately, the vast majority of people that are in that business are doing it in such a way that the rest of the population really can't emulate.
Okay.
So I recognize this, and I'm being somewhat vague on purpose.
Okay.
Just so everybody knows. I recognized this a while ago, and I said, I want to be in this business, and I want to conquer this business. And instead of just being myself and figuring out who I was and figuring out what the blocking and the tackling was, I got focused on and started to feast on all this other information that all these gurus were saying that we should be doing as it relates to this business. And, I'm somewhat embarrassed to say, but since we're good friends, I'll say it to you on your show. I spent a good 15 years, right? Mm-hmm. Not full time, right? But over a period of time, 15 years playing around with this business and never really getting there. Mm-hmm. So you talk about feasting on information and starving for results. That's a true real world example from me.
I can totally relate, because I feel like I spent 30 years. Well, but some of it was developing yourself, right? Like, so when you're in your 20s and you're trying to pick your career and all that kind of stuff, or figure out that the career path you chose isn't the one for you, you start studying all these different modalities, let's say. Like, lots of people that you and I both work with have modalities. They have all of these skills. They have all of these talents. They're really good at a whole bunch of things. And then they just love learning more about those things because it's so fascinating to them. Like shamanism for me, or healing, or energy. And even accounting, you can you have to keep up with professional development, but you can keep learning the same stuff more and more.
Yep.
And you can get really addicted to it. And it's a distractive addiction in my mind. And what I notice with people is like, and it goes back to this thing about perfection you talk about. It's like, oh, but I have to get this certificate. I have to get this credential. I have to get this certification so that I can make more money, so that people will hire me. But you know what? Every job, like I never applied for an accounting position ever in my life. They never asked me for one certificate or diploma or nothing. You know, I went through all the shaman training. Yeah, you can check me out on their website, but I don't have a certificate. It's the results that I can create that are the certificate.
That's the key. That's always the key. I'm so glad you said that. That is the key. It's the results. Mm-hmm. And results are what people pay for.
Yeah.
And that's how you make money is it's all the results. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
you were talking, go ahead, Dell. Sorry.
I was going to say real quick, the other thing I would add to that is that when you are feasting on that information, there's also a certain degree of safety there.
Right.
When you're gathering and you're collecting and you're learning, there's safety in learning. Mm-hmm. And the other part that you said is absolutely 100% right as well. You have to do some of that stuff, right? You have to learn, you have to figure things out, but don't let it hinder you and don't use it as a safety crutch, right?
Yeah.
As long as I'm learning, I don't have to go out and actually do something.
Yeah. Another thing I see people is like, okay, I'm just beginning, so I can't charge the regular rate and that kind of stuff. Like, so you undervalue your wisdom, you undervalue your experience, you undervalue yourself. And it backfires in a bit too, because people don't always want to buy the cheapest thing out there.
No, they don't. And they also, when you get right down to it, they don't actually pay for or want to pay for your wisdom. They pay for and want to pay for your results.
Yes.
You know? Mm-hmm. And true, there's a certain degree of wisdom to be able to deliver the results, but it's all about delivering the results. Yeah. So you could take somebody that's been in a business for 30 years versus somebody that's been in a business for 5 years, the exact same business. Mm-hmm. But if the 5-year veteran is getting their clients results and the 30-year veteran is not, the 5-year veteran is going to win out all the time.
Right. And you'd think that the 30-year person should have all this wisdom and experience, right? Right. But sometimes they've been stuck in the comfort zone.
Absolutely.
And so they have been doing it the same way because it gives them this result. Mm-hmm. And they're afraid to move into this result, right? Right. Because it's comfortable. And how does somebody get to the next result? By themselves. How do they do it by themselves?
I don't know if they can. I don't know if we do anything by ourselves, quite frankly. Exactly. You know, I think business is certainly a team sport. And I think life is, by and large, a team sport. But you know, the other thing is that you have to want to go above, right? Mm-hmm. Like you say, you can be at a certain level and that could be comfortable. Mm-hmm. And you can decide that I'm okay there. And there's nothing wrong with that as long as you decide that that's what it is that you want. Yeah. But you know me as well as you do these days, that I'm always talking about what do you want, right? Yeah. And you have to understand that first. And once you can figure that out, at least identify it, then you can figure out how to get there.
Yeah. And you talk a lot about reverse engineering things. So like, that's what I like to start with a client. And I'm sure you do too, is like, what do you want? Like, what are you talking about before we got on to this? We were talking about synergy.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And is that something about what do we want and taking all of our skills and everything that we know? Like, tell me more about that again.
Yeah, I think we were talking a little bit about, especially somebody like myself, self-proclaimed serial entrepreneur, right?
Yeah.
How do you stay focused and how do you get anything done, right?
Yeah.
How can you have businesses that are in the food service industry, in life sciences, and then in, consulting or coaching, and still be successful in all those areas. And what I was saying was, and this relates directly to what you do, Jennifer, and what you do so well. You have to first understand where it is that you want to go, right? Or like, as you call it, your purpose, right? And I agree with that 100%. What is your purpose? And in another vernacular, that could be, what do you want? And in another vernacular, one of my vernaculars is, what are your desired outcomes, right? What are you trying to achieve? Where are you trying to go? Because that's that old adage, that, if you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there, right? And so you got to know where you want to go. But the part about the synergies is, once you've determined that you have these diverse interests, or these diverse even goals, or diverse desired outcomes, if that's the case for you, what I coach people to do is to find the synergies between them.
Okay.
Right? So as an example, so how can you have a business in life sciences, a business in food service, and a business in, something else, health and nutrition? Well, one of my synergies is, and the way I work is, entrepreneurship and the entrepreneur and his or her team, and helping that entrepreneur, his or her team, move forward. And the entrepreneur building a life sciences business and an entrepreneur building a health and nutrition business or a food service industry business, they're all pretty much trying to do the same thing, right? When you get right down to it, the blocking and tackling is increase my profits, lower my expenses, sell more, right?
Yeah.
And so when I look at all my diverse business interests, my synergies are around those. So I don't need to, and this goes back to our thing about, education and training. I don't need to get a PhD in life sciences, right?
No.
I don't need to get a master's degree in health and nutrition, right? Because I know what my synergies are and where I want to go. And that's how I'm able to do a number of different things, and how anybody else can do a number of different things.
Because your expertise is in the business part of it, right? Like, these are all just different businesses.
Exactly.
And they all want to make money and have results, get their customers the results that they want, and then have the exchange for the value traded.
Right.
Right.
And then this is where the team sport part comes in, right? Because if you don't have a team and you don't have others that complement your genius, then you're not going to move as far as fast.
Yeah.
So once you determine in a life science business, you've got to have somebody that understands how to develop a product, or how to test a product, or how to do the different blind studies and things like that. I don't know how to do that. Yeah. But my partners do, right? And they're very good at that. So that's when the team comes in, and we're able to build these things together.
Yeah. And it's just like me working with you coaching me is like, you understand how to put a membership together, like how to do a free trial, or how to create a high ticket program. Yep. Or, like, you've done these things before. You've helped other people do them before. I never did it before, and I needed to learn from a master, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So, and then when you get to know somebody, like when you get working with somebody on a regular basis, like we did, is like, then you get to know all of these different synergistic talents or modalities or skills or education or experience that the person has. And that's what I like to do too in my work, is like, what is that kernel that brings them all together, like that threads them all together, that really makes you happy and lit up about what you're doing? And then, yes, you do need a team, because you can't, if you're a visionary, and I think serial entrepreneurs are visionaries. Like, they can see, people like you can see above the clouds. But you can bring down information below the clouds, like, and share how to get it done and that kind of thing.
Yes.
And so working with somebody like you on a team, like having you on my team, has helped me to move forward so much faster than if I didn't have you on my team.
Yep. And that's exactly what I believe. I know you do in your business, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're a guide, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that another term for a shaman? Isn't a shaman
Yeah.
essentially
I'm
a
a
guide?
guide. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm a
yeah,
guide. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So, people, I think, that are looking to go somewhere, either A, looking to figure out what their purpose ultimately is,
Mm-hmm.
and or B, once they figure that out, figure out how they're going to realize it or achieve it or live it, right? One of the best things that they can have is a guide, right? Because you can't do it on your own. And you, just like me, so somebody says, Jennifer, I've decided that my purpose is to, do my part to help relieve hunger in the world, right? So what I want to do is I want to travel to Africa and I want to actually farm the land and help them farm the land. It's like, great, wonderful purpose, right? What do you know about farming? You may know a lot about farming, but I know that you deal with horses and you've been on ranch, so you probably know a lot of the agrarian stuff, but still you might not know how to plant corn or peas or rice or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you can guide somebody to that purpose, right?
Yes.
And that's what it's all about. That's what business as a team sport is all about, is coming together and finding the resources that you need to complement your genius to get you where you want to go.
Yeah. And just like you said, is like, okay, you come up with that, okay, I want to have a farm in Africa and feed all the people. But you can also like, oh, now I have to learn how to be a farmer and get very distracted. If you're like, if you don't have somebody like Dell saying like, what are you thinking? You hired somebody to do that,
Yes. Yes.
Or sometimes, visionary people or entrepreneurs, because I think entrepreneurs like create businesses, right? Like they dream up businesses and they're like, oh, I could be of such a service there. And because they see a problem and they want to fill it, right? Like, oh, there's a product there, right?
Yep.
I do this all the time, but I can't do everything. But if you become a serial entrepreneur, which I'm toying with, like, how do I become a serial entrepreneur like Dell? It's like, no, you just start focusing on what actually makes you happy. You find all the right team.
Yep.
And then you keep hanging out with more, those people who are more powerful than you. That's what I tell people is like,
absolutely,
hang out with powerful people.
Yeah. And it goes back to something else that I know you say a lot in your work. You have to be true to yourself, right? Mm-hmm. So using the example that I just used, I don't know if that person in my fictitious example really truly wants to be a farmer. What they want is they want to help feed the world, right? They've determined that farming is a way to do that, but they don't really want to be a farmer. If you told them, oh, I can send you to farming school and you'll live in, Idaho for the rest of your life. It's like, no, that's not what I want to do. I want to help feed the world. So you have to understand what it is that you truly want, just like we were saying before, and then be true to yourself. I mean, I know you always say that. You have to be true and authentic to who you really are and what you want.
And clarity is one of the key ingredients that I help people to get, because sometimes we can get distracted by all of these imaginative ideas and really lose track of what is it that we want.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it's always good to work with somebody who knows you, like Dell or myself. Like, all right, okay, last week you weren't even talking about this, like kind of keeps you anchored to the ground.
Yeah.
So that you stay grounded, you stay on course. Because I forgot to say this at the beginning. Dell has this amazing book, Get Your Ship Together, Charting a Course to True Wealth. And I devoured it in like 4 hours. So I really highly recommend it. But you have like a course. It's like you chart a course.
Yes.
You chart a course to what you want, your purpose, your success, the result, your desired outcome, right? You chart a course. And somebody like you helps us do that.
Yeah. And to your point about clarity, for those people out there that don't live in clarity kind of each and every day, like I know you do, and what I certainly endeavor to do as well. Clarity is extremely liberating,
Mm-hmm.
and extremely freeing, right?
Yeah.
When you're clear, you can cut away all this other noise that's out there, and then you get laser sharp and laser focused. And I also find that it's a lot more fun when you're doing what you enjoy doing and it's moving you where you want to go.
Yeah. Yeah. So how would somebody chart a course with you?
Well, first we got to talk.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
the first thing, right? Because
Yeah.
one of my other core beliefs is when I get on sort of my soapbox. One of them is about feasting on information and starving for results. The other is I can't stand cookie cutter things, right? I can't stand cookie cutter programs, one size fits all, right?
Yeah.
There's so many gurus out there, quote unquote gurus out there saying, this is my program, right? Do it and you'll have my success. And that's by and large not true, because each and every entrepreneur is unique in their own way. And so I deal with people who they are and where they are and where they want to go. So if I'm going to help you chart a course, I don't have a course charting program that I can pull off my shelf and give to you. This is something that we have to do together.
Yeah. It's customized.
Yes, absolutely.
It's definitely customized.
Yeah.
And that's what people want. That's what I want. Because I have been in experiences where I've, bought in the canned product or whatever, like follow my course. I never finish it.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, why did I spend that $4.97 or why did I do that?
Mm-hmm.
And that's like how I like to help people is, everyone has similar problems, but different problems. And I know I can help you, but I have to know you.
Yes.
I can't help you like I'm helping this person. Like you coach me differently than you would coach somebody else. And we might have the same problem even, but I might be further along in the problem or, different personality types even. Like the way I learn or the way I take criticism, that kind of thing. Some people you have to adjust and you have to adapt. And private mentoring and private coaching or getting personal attention from somebody like Dell or myself is very valuable and it gets results quickly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the one thing I would add to that, just so people don't misconstrue what we're both saying.
Yeah.
There are certain things that you can use that everybody can use.
Yes.
Okay. And that's just true in life. All right. If you're going to play baseball, everybody uses a bat, right? But the bat might be a little different. It might be smaller or longer based upon who you are and how tall you are, right? But so there are some commonalities. So I don't want people to misunderstand me to say that nothing, everything should be customized. There are things that you can use and do, and we all use those as a part of our business. But ultimately, we're all going someplace different. It's as you said, it's all slightly different, even if we're going to the same place. We might have a different way we want to get there, might have a different time frame to get there. We might want to do something different once we get there. So it's all different.
Yeah. And I totally agree, because I do have like my own thing where I teach people how to, become present and get clarity. But the way I teach it you might receive it differently, but I'm giving everyone the same thing.
Yes.
But you're getting a different outcome.
Yes.
The one just for you.
Yep. And that goes back to what we were saying before about charting the course. The flip side of the coin to charting the course is course correcting, right? Because when you start out on a course, it's almost never straight point A to point B, right? Especially in business, there's always the zigzag, and you've got to course correct on the course that you've charted.
Yeah. I am so with you there. The course corrections. So Dell, is there something you can offer the Receptive Radio community so they can get in touch with you or use one of your tools, do you have something that people can connect with you further with?
Yeah. So what I would suggest for everyone, since everybody's a little bit different, is let's first establish the baseline of our relationship, right? So I would suggest if you just go to dellewis.com/connect. So I think we can probably put it up
I'll
on
put all the links in there. So everything's going to get in the links.
Yeah. So if you just go to dellewis.com/connect, that allows us to establish the beginnings of our relationship. And just so everybody knows, I hate spam. My mailbox, as I'm sure yours too is, Jennifer, is cluttered with stuff every morning, and that I've got most of it I got to get rid of. So I don't do that to anybody else. I will only correspond with you on things that I think are interesting and unique and useful to you. But it's also, if you do that, it's a way for you to keep abreast of the things that I'm working on, because I'm constantly working on tools for entrepreneurs primarily. Although I do have tools that are just for the mass public on time management, things of that nature. So it'll allow people to be up to speed on who I am and what I'm doing. And so if any part of this conversation is resonating with you, then we should connect and continue the conversation.
Yeah. And this conversation, this interview is going to last hopefully for infinity on a few different platforms. So you might be watching it a few years down the road and you want to connect with Dell. And that'll be a new tool or whatever, the latest tool.
There you go.
Yeah. So Dell, I just want to restate your tagline, because I think it's so valuable. It's like feeding on too much
Mm-hmm.
and starving for results. Let's transform that.
Yeah.
Let's what is it? What's the opposite of it? Like starving for results, thriving with results, because you're utilizing the information. You're implementing the information. You're thriving with results.
Yes. And, there's one simple word, which is in everybody's vocabulary every day, that I think helps encompass all of this. And I talk about it in my book. My book is really based upon this program. It's all maritime and nautical based. So forgive me for all the nautical terms, but it's a 6-bladed propeller, right? And each of the blades is something different, right? There's awareness, there's charting your course, there's team, there's innovation, outcomes, and navigation. Okay. So again, I'll say them again: awareness, charting your course, team, innovation, outcomes, navigation. Those 6 things, ACTION, actually spell the one word that's in everybody's vocabulary, which is the key to this whole thing, and it's action.
Awesome.
And the way you stop feasting on information and starving for results is that you take action.
Yeah.
That's the key.
Yeah. I love it. And I will definitely be linking Dell's book in the comments, so everyone could go to it wherever. If it's on Amazon, I'll put that link in there.
Yep.
And I've been so blessed to have Dell as my coach for the last 3 years, and I want to continue my relationship with Dell in some way, and it'll morph into a new way. And I really, if it's not me or if it's not Dell, there's so many other people like us that really help entrepreneurs get the outcome and take the actions. Because we're like really good cheerleaders. We like keep you accountable. We help you take responsibility. And Dell has so many, one of my favorite Dellisms is business is based on results. And so whenever I'm like thinking about something, there's like, okay, why am I doing this? It's like, no, business is based on results. Why am I doing this? Why am I creating this program? Why am I creating this product? To help my customer get results.
Yeah, that is so powerful, Jennifer. And I just hope people are taking it to heart for themselves, right? Because it can transform your business. I'm talking to all the people that are listening to this right now and watch this right now. that can transform your business. Once you remove all of the other wants, whys, and wherefores and just focus on delivering results to the people that you want to deliver results to, it's just so powerful. And, this is why I loved coaching with you, because you understand this, and your primary ultimate objective is to help other people. You have this specialty, you have this niche, it's around purpose, and it's around guiding them to their purpose, realizing it, and then actually attaining it. But that's your whole thing. That's what lights you up. And that's what makes you successful and will make you as successful as you want to be.
Well, thank you, Dell.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, thank you, Receptive Radio community. And I really hope you maybe watch this more than once, because there is so many gems and nuggets in here from serial entrepreneur Dell Lewis, author, businessman. He has so much result-orientated information to share with you. So please check out his links in the comments below and in the show notes, and we will see you next time. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Pleasure being with you all.